effective if you take a deep breath before you start talking.
Hello, Steve. Can you hear us? What were you saying?
Um, I noticed that if you take a deep breath at the very top of your sentence, especially if you know you're about to go on a tangent or say more than one or two words, it actually helps you get all of your words out very fluently as opposed to the very short breaths we take when we're having a conversation and having to pause to get that breath in because you can't breathe and talk at the same time. Very interesting.
Thank you for that tip.
Mm-hmm. So, like, before you respond to somebody, like, do a deep inhale. It also gives you time to get your words in order and then just let it rip.
Ooh, that's why you be
Mm-hmm.
having your runouts.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. I'll run you all down the road real fast.
Ooh, okay, that's a secret.
Has anybody commented on Facebook? I want to make sure.
Can you all hear us? Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2.
1 2 1 2.
We have 5 viewers at this time. Let me go to YouTube and grab that link. V.E.R.B is the first thing that popped up. We look very well on YouTube. There we go. Link has been posted to the comment section. Do you have the YouTube? Is there a setting on you the YouTube page to make sure it's public or private?
Yeah, but it's all public.
You got it public. I'm not trying to question you. You ain't even really trying to be my.
Y'all have a good day today.
Yeah, today was pretty productive. Pretty productive.
Did you say you had a good day today?
I had a good day. I don't.
What was on your mind?
Anyway,
So I heard a very interesting. Well, first of all, that's a lie, but we'll deal with that later. I heard a very interesting statement today where females were saying that a part of their memory issues due to them having kids. Is that a thing?
I think it is. Yes.
They said like the more you have children, something about the anesthesia or something that messes with your memory.
It probably does.
Hmm.
I'm gonna read up on that because I have heard that it's one of the many symptoms as far as just
Yeah,
how pregnancy affects your body.
it's crazy. And y'all want that? Why?
It's another story, another time.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
All right, well, I guess we'll get started. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to another edition of our Talk It Out sessions presented by V.E.R.B. We're your hosts, Aaron Tate, Adrian Poe, Jasmine Patterson, saying hello to our future selves. If you've caught our other videos, you know what we like to do is we take a specific topic, particularly one that is controversial, and we like to discuss it. We come up with different talking points to bring up throughout the discussion, but we also like to get involved with you guys as well. So for those of you tuning in, please feel free to comment and ask any questions you think might contribute to the conversation. That being said, today's topic is trust me. Trust me. I decided that it was important to discuss this topic because I've had conversations with, several people over the past, couple of weeks regarding the idea of trust and putting trust into other people. And listening to the way that people talk about trust or the idea of trust, I got the sense that, well, first of all, the idea of trusting someone or trust in general is such a sensitive and fragile thing that I think has contributed to the way or the shaping of the culture that we currently live in, which is something that we're going to end up discussing in great detail later on in the conversation. So I thought it was important to talk at length about, the idea of trust. Is it okay to trust people? Anything you guys want to say before we get started?
This finna get so good. Because, like, I have a monologue of stuff to say about this.
All right. Jasmine?
I mean, as far as just what I think about, I guess what trust is.
Yeah, I'm saying, like, do you have any words before we get started?
No, not right now. No.
Okay.
No.
All right. First question, Ms. Patterson. What does trust mean to you? The word trust, what does that mean to you?
Trust to me means somebody that you can, confide in confidently, where you have no errors of judgment, or just someone that you can rely on, somebody that you can confide in, and you trust them. You trust them enough, to share those types of things. I just believe, I guess trust is just I don't know. You got me off. Okay, so I'm just because you took me.
Did you put water on
it? You took me too fast. Like, just as far as trust, just confidently being able to talk to people about certain things. Just you feel safe and trust.
Adrian?
I'll elaborate more.
Trust to me is a door that once it's opened, you then have to explore what's in the room. And a lot of times people think, in my opinion, that trust is the room. And I'll elaborate a little bit more later.
Okay. So for me, trust just means belief in the reliability, strength, truth, and ability of someone or something. So I'll say it again. Trust to me is just the belief in the reliability, truth, strength, or ability of someone or something. So with that being said, so what does it mean to trust someone? And I'll go first on this. So for me, when I think of the idea of trusting someone, I think of me holding something in high regard or holding something sacred and having belief that you have the ability to hold and protect that of which I deem sacred, should I choose to give it to you. That's what it means to me to trust someone. What does it mean to you to trust someone?
What it means for me to trust someone is that means I must have properly observed your words and correlated them with your actions and correlated them with your beliefs and how you respond to things, and then decided to give you a chance to build that. It's not just me meeting you off the rip, trusting you. I think it's a sport that you have to run to earn what I hold for you to trust.
So what are some factors that you're looking at to determine if someone is trustworthy or not?
I'm glad you asked. It depends on what I'm holding. And what I mean by that is there are certain things in life that we hold, such as I'm I have a son, right? So there are certain people that I would trust with my son. There are other people that I would not trust with my son. It doesn't mean there's not other areas that I can trust those people with, just not my son. There are people that I trust with my car that I wouldn't trust with my son. You see what I'm saying? So it's not a all encompassing statement when I say, "Oh, I trust you." Your response should be for or in what, because it's very rare that you have people or a person that you completely trust in all areas. And if you do, you can best believe you have some mental notes that those people or persons have operated in that area to give them that. They didn't just walk up to them and you pass them that. So when you think about trust, it's gonna be, well, why do I trust you with my son? Well, I know that your house is a low traffic area, right? I know you don't smoke. I know you don't use profanity just to be using it. You don't indulge in drugs in that nature. So there's a laundry list of things that I have to check off before I assign you that trust for my son. But think about it. That same list that applies to my son don't apply to my car. So I can easily give you my car keys. I can easily trust you with my car keys, but I'm not going to trust you with my son. And I think if we get to the point to where we start to break down what it means to trust somebody, that'll actually incite people to realize I might need to start doing better in these areas.
Jasmine, what about you?
For me, I guess some factors with trust is something that you said in your definition as far as reliability. Like, I feel like if I can rely on you, or if I'm, like you said, with your kids, like there are certain things or certain energies that you can pick up on people as far as just if you can trust them around your children. For me, with trust, if I'm saying that I'm trusting you, I have relied on you in some cases or some situations, and you came through, or you, just helped me out, or you just allowed me to, just be open, be myself. I feel like if I have those qualities in you, or as a friend or whatever, then I really must trust you. Especially if I'm trusting you with myself, I know that I can trust you around my child as well. So there's just a few factors. Reliability is a big one for me.
So were y'all ever told not to trust everybody growing up?
Yes.
Who did you normally hear that from growing up?
I normally heard that from my grandmother.
I know. What about you?
Yeah, mother and parents.
Parents, grandmother. People, if you're watching, have you ever been told not to trust anybody? And if so, who told you guys that? Because usually the statement is don't be, you can't trust everybody, right? Nisha said parents. Mm-hmm. Usually the older generation. Mm-hmm. That's who. When you heard that statement, what were they normally referring to when they say you can't trust everybody, or don't be out here trusting everybody?
So in my experience, it was their experience with the people they decided to trust had wronged them or stabbed them in the back, so to speak, and they had been calling them friends. So for me now, I'm looking back like, that's your fault. Like, you should have gauged those people better, or you kept giving those same people same chances, and they kept doing the same things, and now you've cultivated a mindset of, oh, don't trust everybody. But them still your friends, though. Mm-hmm. So that's my experience. It's always due to an experience they had based on the decisions they made and the people they kept.
Mm-hmm. Joanne said, or Stephen said, parents and grandparents. Joanne said, my grandmother, absolutely my parents as well. Newbie said, they say innocent until proven guilty with trust. You guilty until proven innocent with me. And Joanne said, man. What about you?
So usually when she told me that, it was probably because I was hanging around some people that she didn't want me around. Like she was real, she was real.
Shady character.
Yeah, like she was real protective. And she, I guess, just how adults are. With her, she was.
So by them telling you that, how did that impact you guys? Growing up, or how did that impact the relationships that you formed? After being told that, or after having that instilled within you.
So for me, and you all know me, it clearly didn't do nothing. it held no regard in my mind. Because I still go in hands first. Now I'm a lot more. I do a lot better now at vetting people. However, I do give any and everybody a chance, or I give them a hint of trust to see if I can move on. Now I do a lot better job now with gauging character. But I do have a small piece of trust with everybody I meet. And if you violate that, then it's over with. But if you don't, then I very easily let you progress to the next steps.
How did that impact you in your relationships?
It had me it had me careful. Probably not as careful as I would like to be, but it did have me second guessing who I'm around, making sure that I'm careful, making sure that I am, like you said, vetting them or getting a feel of them before, I trust myself to go around or out with anybody.
Steven said people who could kidnap you. Newbie said it actually helped me out a lot. I feel like I avoided a lot of potential hurt. So my next question is, so do you guys feel like you can, before I ask that, so you guys were saying that it helped you be more cautious, right? And Newbie, this is a question for you as well. Did you ever fail to extend trust to someone who deserved it for the sake of holding on to that of which you were instilled with? Did you ever fail to extend trust to someone who deserved it for the sake of holding on to that of which was instilled within you?
No, not in my case. Unfortunately, I guess whatever I was picking up on or whatever I saw firsthand, I believed in it and ran with it. There was no, and then it ended up being exactly what it would.
Grandma said.
Correct. So I feel like she instilled that in me to take that as I get older, do that same concept. But now you're just dealing with adults. Going from dealing with children to adults. So just
So you're saying there's only been times where you gave someone trust, but they violated it, and not times where you didn't give someone trust who actually would not have violated it.
Yes, because I want to give everyone a chance. It's just if I see potential, I'm gonna feel like I can trust you, or invest in you as a friend. And if I feel like if I can do that, then that's what it is until you show me different.
So you extend trust off the rip when you meet people?
Not off the rip. Again, at the word that he used, vetting. I talk to you. I see where your head's at. I get a feel of you. You will have to give like you said, a small piece of trust just to see what they would do with it if they had more from you. So you do have to kind of drop that little bit in the water and just see where it goes from there. And it's helped me.
Okay, metaphor in the water.
Yeah. Steven said, when in one ear and out the other, people were too interested in me.
I'm with him. Let me.
Newbie said, nah, I don't regret it. I was right. Oh, yeah, you replied to him. So is there anything currently that you would say or that you guys would determine that you can't trust or would not trust anybody with? Do you currently have anything, whether it be information about yourself, whether it be, physical, tangible possessions? Is there anything that you could say that there's something that you have that you cannot trust anybody with?
Yes.
What's that? Oh, well, I'm not asking you to tell us, but.
Please don't. Don't do that.
Spoke too quick. Joe, real quick, Joanne said, we as young girls, we're not allowed to sit in any man's lap. We cannot go to certain people's houses. If they had brothers or their fathers were around, incest was in our family, and my mother trusted no one with her daughters or her sons. Jeez. Mm-hmm. Steve said, my child. So he said the thing he would not trust anybody with is his child. The thing that you determine that you can't trust anybody with, why is it that you can't trust anybody with it?
It's because the individual haven't shown capability to hold that by which I would pour into them. Now, there is individuals who have almost maxed out on the amount of trust I would give them. So if I'm gauging trust with a meter from 0 to 100, there are people that have 99.5% of my trust, and the only reason that they haven't received the other 0.5 is because a circumstance or a situation haven't presented itself in order for me to determine if I can give them that. However, there are other people who are still sitting at 50 based on their actions, their responses, their lifestyle, what they got going on, their comprehension, their understanding, their ability to ask me about me. So that's their fault. That's on them. That's on them.
I'm asking the questions here, man. Go ahead.
Go ahead with your question.
So the thing that you feel like you can't trust people with, why are you hesitant to extend that trust to people? Is it because they haven't shown you, or is it? So I guess my question is it more to do with the fact that people haven't shown you that they can be trustworthy, or you're more afraid of the information itself being put out there and afraid of how you might be perceived if this information is revealed?
That's a good question.
Question for the audience. Question. Real quick. So Isaac Clayton's, Steven said only have a selected few. Isaac Clayton said, okay, when are we going to start talking about the spy balloon? Did y'all hear about that?
The what?
Apparently China sent like a spy balloon.
Oh, I heard about that.
Nubi said, me in general, I'm literally closed off until required to speak. Oh, we know.
Oh, yeah.
Nisha said, my child. That's the thing she couldn't trust anybody with. So question again for those of you. Any information about you that you would not just immediately extend trust to anybody? Is it more to do with the fact that people have not shown themselves trustworthy for you to share that information with? Or is it more to do with the fact that, is it more to do with your fear of said information being revealed for the sake of how you might be perceived once this information is revealed?
Okay, so for me, it would probably be the first option, as far as just, you have to show me something. I can't, like, I'm like Adrian, like you, in order for me to know if I can get there to that point, I do need to see something, because I don't know. I don't know, you know? So I would rather you show me. I'm not really, I guess, fearful or anything as far as just like the trust, or the truth, or I guess, as you stated, getting out or whatever. I just need to see something. I need you to show me that I can trust you, because I'm real closed off. So because of that, it does put those walls up, I guess. But if you are able to hold a conversation with me, if you're able to show me that what I'm telling you, it's staying between, you and I or whatever, I will feel less guarded in order to, continue with that type of friendship. Because I do need to see something before I'm just open.
So I have a question, because a lot of people are saying that, people need to show themselves to be trustworthy, which are facts. That just makes sense. However, I want to pose, how do you know that it's not the fact that you're scared of that information getting out? Like,
yep.
How do you determine that, it's not that? Because I don't mind this information getting out, but I don't really think y'all out here like that.
To be honest, I'm finna call cap.
Yeah, y'all y'all ain't out here like that. And the reason, and it could be one of them Agent Poe things, I am, and I know what it takes to be on that. I ain't got no problem with saying that. I should need somebody to say it too, because I have that and I do that often. Most of y'all that's responding, you've not even been in a place to do it. So how do you know that you will be okay with doing it?
Mm-hmm.
And I ain't coming for y'all. I'm just saying, like, if you've never had that, what are you comparing it to? So you mean to tell me you've accumulated all this information in your mind's like, I'm just looking for somebody to give it to. Mm-hmm. Like, are you really doing that? I do that, but because I've had the liberty of having somebody to actually give it to. And by somebody, my brother here. Like, I can call and tell him absolutely anything. And every time I do that, the cup that he has gets bigger and bigger for me. So now it's like I could really call and tell him, hey, I killed somebody last night. Like, what I'm supposed to do with this body? And because I know his response is going to do exactly what I needed, not upholding me in my wrong, not saying, hey, where we going to hide it at? Like, he's generated enough trust in that area to where I would call and tell him that. I wouldn't call and tell nobody that, because how y'all respond to me lets me know how y'all going to handle me. I'm okay with that because I now have had that. I've built up a lot of information. I've worked myself up to be able to articulate my information. And then I purposely poured a whole bunch of my stuff in him just to see how he would respond. And he always responds appropriately. Can y'all honestly say that y'all have done that? Like, how do you know that that's the one? Is the question. Like, how you know it's, oh, well, I'm just waiting on somebody to be trustworthy. And the reason I'm going to call cap is because the amount of digging and probing and priming that it takes to get a piece of the information that you're saying, ooh, once I find somebody, I'm going to give it to them. Mm-hmm. No, because y'all don't be giving it like that.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all
you don't
really
just volunteer information like that.
You don't.
Isaac Clayton said, because that balloon took away all my trust. Steven said both of them to the question that I asked. Newbie said, you got to earn it. I don't care how you think or feel after the fact, I guess, in terms of the information that's given. Nisha said the first option, the trust has to be shown. Newbie's replying to Steve saying, I was going to say that, but I had to check myself. Nisha said that second one is right there with the first option. Newbie said, ain't no cap in my words. Joanne said, my son is a police officer and I was a state investigator. We have seen so much and it is very difficult to trust individuals with those we love. You would be surprised at the things people would do. Newbie says, so if he responded differently, you wouldn't share as much?
Exactly. Like, I don't remember the first thing that I had a conversation with Aaron about, because that was, years ago. But at some point, I had to give him a piece. And we all have to do that. There's nowhere around building trust without trusting them with something. I don't care if it was 10 cents, $1, and they said I'm going to pay you back. It had to be something for you to start that on. And at some point, I decided, you know what? Let me give him this. And it had to be some type of emotional expression. I don't know what it was about. My child, my wife, my job, my mental space. I don't know what it was. But apparently, he responded appropriately. And then we build upon that. So, yeah, to short answer your question, if he responded differently, I would not share as much because that don't make sense.
But I put up shots in the gym, so I'm
yeah,
always
like,
respond.
yeah. That's all I mean.
Isaac said, hey, but watch the balloon floating over that cup. What's his obsession with this balloon? So,
we're going to do some research.
Yeah.
We gotta do some research.
Joanne said, I test people all the time. Trust me, trust must be earned.
Yeah.
Steve said, Isaac must have been outside naked when that balloon came across.
Yeah. My boy trying to get that footage. Like, could you not show that? Like, I don't want that footage.
Son, Joanne's responded to Newbie, said exactly, and then he's just laughing at Steven. But yeah, so that's what I was getting at. I think the reason why I was calling cap on y'all, Newbie, is like Adrian was saying, even when you determine or deem someone trustworthy, the information that you deem sacred or sensitive, you don't just come out with it automatically. Mm-hmm. You don't just see somebody, build a relationship with them, determine you can now trust them and be like, okay, now that I know I can trust you, here's some information about me I think you should.
No,
like, you don't do that.
No.
You don't do that.
No.
You don't do that. And the reason being is because even with people that you consider yourself to, or that you consider to be trustworthy, there is still this fear factor that exists with the information that you hold sacred to you, because you don't want that information to somehow be turned around and used against you in the court of law. No, I'm kidding. But you don't want somebody to be able to take that information and somehow turn it around to be used against you to harm you in any way. Mm-hmm. It was for information like that you consider sensitive or sacred, it already takes a lot of emotional gumption and mental gumption to be able to just even verbalize it or express it, to even decide that you want to share this one with someone. Think of a time where something that you would not normally talk to anybody with, you finally decided to share it with someone. How much energy and emotional energy that took for you to actually share it with someone. And now think about when you did decide to share with with someone, how they responded, and if they didn't respond how you expected
Destroyed
them to,
your soul.
how that affected you.
Destroyed your soul.
I'm a track when that happened.
Yeah, you retract,
take
right?
out running, yeah.
Right. So if they don't respond how you want them to with the information that it took you so much to finally get off your chest, you're gonna use that to determine, you know what, I tried it, it didn't work, I ain't doing that again.
And then you attach that energy to everybody else you come in contact with.
Everybody.
Which goes back to what Grandma said.
Don't trust everybody. But I think the danger in that, Nubi said, the fear factor will always be there, but you should also be comfortable sharing without the rebuttal. But and it goes back to that statement. But I think the problem where that becomes problematic is our parents and our grandparents telling us not to trust anybody is creating a culture of distrust and cynicism that often gets aimed at people who don't deserve it.
Woo! Run it back.
Am I preaching or am I preaching?
Rewind is what I said, and then play.
Where it becomes problematic with our parents and grandparents telling us not to trust people is it's creating a culture of distrust and cynicism that gets aimed at people who don't deserve it, who doesn't deserve your cynicism. Right? Like,
I just felt like you just like defended the last 8 years of my life. Like finally somebody understands who hurt you. It wasn't me. So, I did not hurt you.
I didn't hurt you.
I've never done anything to hurt you.
So in other words, if I'm doing everything that is meeting your requirements to extend trust towards me, then you shouldn't still act within the realm of, oh, I can't trust everybody, or this is information that I just refuse to share because I don't want you to turn around and use it against me somehow. Like, why would you still feel like that if you determine that I'm trustworthy? Like, if I've earned the benefit of your trust, the benefit of the doubt, right? But because our grandparents and our parents told us not to trust anybody, we decided not to listen to them. And then that one time it actually turned out to not work in our favor, we then was like, oh, grandma and granddaddy was right. Can't trust people. I ain't never trusting nobody else again.
And then on top of that, there was one person, first of all, and second of all, when are you going to be accountable for the part that you played to gauge that person? So I'm not going to trust them. When have that person ever showed you any trustworthy skills? Like, what were you doing the entire friendship? Also, I think we should add, don't trust people until they prove themselves to be trustworthy. Adding that statement, Grandma, would have completely changed our entire world.
Entire game.
Until they prove to be trustworthy would have completely changed everything we know.
Nisha said, do parents and grandparents also tell us not to trust them also? No.
Because they were just as toxic.
Yeah, they were just as toxic. Joanne said, you are preaching. Thank you. So yeah, that, like you said, that would have changed the entire game. Just simply saying, hey, you don't necessarily need to go out trusting everybody, but find friends that you can trust and be willing to share and allow them to hold that of which you deem sacred.
Then now we got songs that validate can't trust people, stabbing people in the back based on that logic. But the concept of until they prove themselves trustworthy, but you know why they wouldn't add it? The reason, and I'm finding this to be a common denominator in a lot of stuff that we talk about. The reason until they prove themselves to be trustworthy, that takes work. Prove themselves. That means there's work that individual has to do, and nobody wants that responsibility. And they know that if they say that about them, it also applies to them too.
Yeah.
That's the problem. That's why they went from to add that. It's a lot easier to project. Oh, don't trust them. That means there's no work that got to be done. You got to put no thought into it. Just keep being secluded within yourself, and you'll figure it out one day. No, until they prove themselves to be trustworthy, don't trust them. But that also means you have to do the same thing. And because I don't want to look in that mirror, it's easy to be like, oh, don't trust them.
Steve said this good stuff. Newbie sending the fire emojis.
That's what it is. That's work. That until they prove themselves, you got to swallow that too. Nobody want to do that. It's a lot easier to just be like, don't trust them.
That's crazy. It's crazy talk. How dare you?
So can you trust everybody?
No, you can't trust everybody.
No, you can't trust everybody. Why not?
Because you just can't. Everybody that you come in contact with is not going to show you trustworthy traits or things that you feel or is deemed trustworthy.
Give me your top 5 traits that you deem someone to be trustworthy with.
My number 1. I get you said 5.
We're talking about trust.
Right.
We're not talking about nothing minuscule here. This is trust. It's very important.
Before you go, Steven said, making your therapist job harder running up the check. Louis said, I'm going to let y'all preach, but just know I always got something to say. Steve said yes. Joanne said no to my question. Can you trust everybody? She said
y'all
no.
answer that question for Adrian in the
No.
chat too. All right.
Well, yeah, y'all.
For y'all. Yeah. Give me 5 traits of showing or that lets you know that you can trust this person.
5 traits that you use to gauge if someone is trustworthy.
So everybody, if you heard that, if you didn't hear that, I'll repeat it one more time. Adrian said, "Can you all give us 5 traits that you use to deem if someone is trustworthy? 5 traits."
Reliability. I like that one. I'm gonna
so
ride with that one.
So let's pause.
Okay. Let's pause. All right.
So one of the traits that you use to deem if they're trustworthy is reliability, right? Okay, you do understand reliability is contingent upon you giving them something to be reliable with.
Right.
So that's something you got to do too, though.
Yeah, I know. Right.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Give me another one.
Yes. Trust.
But the problem with that is, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
The problem with that is, let me tell you how this is going to get real interesting.
Okay.
If you're trying to gauge if someone is trustworthy, but one of your gauging tools is reliability.
Yes.
But don't reliability require trust?
It does. Well, that's where that, small dose is put into place. So I can see how you work with these 5 things that I'm about to talk about if you're able to.
So can we conclude that you actually have to trust anybody on a certain level in order to know if you can trust anybody?
Until they deem themselves trustworthy.
We have to trust everybody.
We do.
On a certain level. Am I tripping or have I failed?
Nope.
Because one of your traits is reliability, which requires trust.
You gotta give it to
you
them.
got to.
I'm gonna give it to you. I see what.
So you see how toxic it is, and them telling you don't trust everybody. How am I supposed to function then? Give me number 2.
What do I use to gauge? Conversation, I guess.
Okay.
Something. I guess again when you give that little bit because apparently you trust everybody. You give them something personal in a conversation. You see how that conversation works out between the two. You, even if they are calling you out saying yes you are wrong. Like hear how they tell you that you're wrong. Like you said, you don't have to run away from everyone, but just see how they respond to you with that little piece of information that you give. So
number 2 is conversation.
Conversation.
And can we agree that the only way in the world for a conversation to take place is one person is giving information and the other person, who just happens to be you, is also giving information. And giving information requires trust.
Yes.
All right. Number 3.
What is the chat saying?
Help me.
Another way that I gauge it. I get so just to ask a quick question as far as just any form of trust, whether no matter like the location of it.
Any form of trust.
I mean, it can even I guess be seen in like your personal work relationships. I guess as far as even in those conversations, maybe a group situation where you're involved in. I mean that does have a form of trust because you're trusting this person to help you excel at whatever task it is at your job. So
you're saying in a group setting how that person assists you.
Yes, that's a form of
trust, right?
Gauge to see if I can
all right, I'm not a big sport fan, so correct me if I'm wrong, but the last thing I remember about an assist is there's a ball in one person's hand and then you have to actually throw it up to someone else to get the assist, right?
Yeah, you pass it to someone and they have to score in order for it to be your assist.
But the ball came from whose hand?
You.
All right. So I have to once again have something here.
You gotta hand it off
and I got I ain't no NBA fanatic. I just want to make sure I ain't tripping. Okay, go.
Right.
All right. So that also requires you to start with something and give them something.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Okay.
In order for me to just know that I can trust you.
So you, in order to,
I have to give
you have
in
to
order
give it.
to receive.
All
So
right.
yes. What number?
Great. Those three are great.
Okay.
Did we have any in the chat? Thank you so much.
All right, so Steve said, I can trust the killer to kill. I can trust a poet to write. I can trust the plumber to plumb. I can trust a racer to speed. Which is actually I was
headed down that road.
Basically, trust is who they are, who they.
And it speaks to what you were saying. But go ahead.
Newbie said, one, communication. Can't tell you something deep if you can't hold a normal conversation. For me, it's more on the okay, you get this side of me, they get this side of me, because I can't bring everything to you if you can't handle it. Joanne said, transparency, accountability, work ethics, honesty, fear of God. You can reap what you sow.
Okay, Joanne.
But yeah, Steve. So Steve is speaking to something. So going back to my question of, can you trust everybody? My answer is going to be yes, and here's why. If you inherently are cynical towards human nature to be reliable enough to handle something that you deem sacred, then you are trusting a human to be human. Right? You believe it's human nature to not be reliable to hold something you deem sacred. So you are essentially trusting that human to be human. So we can trust everybody because, like Steve was saying, you can trust a killer to kill.
He gonna kill.
That's in his nature,
he definitely
right?
Gonna kill.
You can trust a racer to speed. That's in their nature.
Ain't no problem doing
and
that.
You believe it's human nature not to be reliable enough to hold that of which you deem sacred. You are then trusting them to be what you believe them to be. So yes, you can trust everybody depending on what you believe that person to be. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
And we do trust people on a daily basis. Everybody we come in contact with, we're trusting them in some way, form, or fashion, whether it's minuscule or maximum. You are trusting them on some level every single day. Even the person you're driving behind, you're not always a car distance between those people. But you're trusting them to not slam on brakes and run into them, because if not, you would let them get further.
And because you got a driver's license. So
yeah, you trust that, and you don't even know them people. You don't even know them folks.
Total stranger.
And you see how contradictory it is for grandma and be like, don't trust everybody. Like, we have to start using words properly because it's completely contradicting everything that we live and breathe on a daily basis.
You gave your 5 things for trustworthy?
No, but mine was really kind of in line with newbie. Communication, character, integrity, accountability, transparency. My biggest one I think is conversation. Like, I can tell a lot by a conversation we have. And that's really how I do a lot of my gauging. And then once I get the information from the conversation, I'll then watch you. And that goes back to what Jazz was saying. Like, in a group setting, if I hear you talking crap about like another coworker who performs the same job, I'm gonna be a little bit like, okay, like, I don't know if I'm gonna really give you that trust right there. Now, I might go out to eat with you, but you know, I ain't gonna give you that. So for me, it's gonna be conversation first, and then personal life character second. Because I use both of those to then decide, well, I gave you a little piece at work. I'm going to try a little bit after work. And if you don't handle that properly, it's just going to be an at work thing for us. Like, it's just all right, go work, all right. But after work, it's going to be a no.
So can I ask you a quick question?
Well, let me read this comment real quick. So Newbie said, I think cynical needs to be changed to guarded. Nah. Cynical means believing that people are motivated purely by self-interest, distrustful of human sincerity or integrity. I think cynical fits.
Yeah.
Okay. He also said, I'm staying 20 feet back, talking about the car situation. But go ahead.
So real quick, so because we kind of went back to the group situation as far as you just observing, seeing, whatever. So like you said, in that particular situation, do you use that as a form of how you gauge somebody that you trust? If you see someone else doing something to someone else but not to you, like, do you use that as a form as far as if you're going to come over in my space or in my circle, like, or do they have to show that form of distrust directly with you?
Great question, and I have the perfect scenario for that. somewhere along the lines of my growth and development, I picked up the skill of gauging people's intentions. And what I mean by that is, you know how I talk to people, how I talk to everybody. It's kind of aggressive. It's not kind of aggressive. It's definitely aggressive. It's rough. It's harsh. It's raw. But the thing about it is, those people, once they're exposed to that, those people are in my life for the rest of my life. But then you have other people who have said things that are nowhere near as aggressive as me, and those people don't talk to them for the rest of their life. Like, oh, I don't deal with them. They do too much. They such. And I've told a lot of people, I was like, you do know I've said way worse than that to you, right? And what I realized is, even though my words and my diction towards them is aggressive, they know my intentions are pure. And I keep pure intentions so that I can aggressively project. So this happens a lot at work. Like, people come to my desk all day and I'm slicing people up left and right. I'm talking like left and right. Like, people know I'm going to eat their soul. And at the end of me doing it, they be like, that's why I came over here. But they'll hear another supervisor be like, hey, you should be in Ox 5. Who you think you talking to? I'm like, I just told you. I stood up and said, who you in the meet with? Because it can't be me. Are you slow to be in the wrong Ox? And you were like, oh, my bad. You see what I'm saying? But the intentions behind the tone or the approach that the other soups use, they can tell those intentions are to belittle and to demean them. I don't have that type of energy when I'm doing that to people. So to answer your question, if I'm in a group setting, and I talk about people all the time, but my talking about people is never in a malicious way. It's always a comical way, and whatever I said right then, I will literally tell you the same thing, or I will let you know, hey, I was talking to such and I told them that you bald head. Those people don't get offended because they know that's who I am. So if I hear this girl calling this other girl, her bald head self, she thinks she's such, oh, that's a little different. That, oh, you bald head, you think you something. Why you that's maliciousness. I can smell that when we're in a conversation. But if you're walking by, oh, look at such a bald head self, but she killing that hairstyle, you know what I'm saying? It's a difference. So if your intentions are malicious in that group setting, it's gonna be a no-go for me trusting you. If you're comical and have pure intentions, and I can deem you as not being malicious, then even though you're talking about them, I don't feel that negative energy, and then I'll bring you on in. Did that answer the question?
Newbie said, not bald-headed.
Yeah, I copy bald all the time. Which speaks to, what are you doing to gauge that? Like, and the reason I kept circling back around to show you that you have a part to play is, number one, everybody got to trust everybody on some level. Number two, in your trusting them, there must be a gauging mechanism that you're using, because if the cards fall into the wrong hands, you had a part to play. Like, people who are untrustworthy, they can't be trustworthy for too long. Mm-hmm. So even if it's your ability to hold off long enough for them to reveal their true colors, that's still your job. Yeah. And you need to be doing it.
I think a good way to look at it is, so for me, the way that I gauge whether or not I can trust someone is simply results. Results are what I use to gauge if someone is trustworthy. The things that you guys mentioned are just the metrics by which I determine how high they score.
Ooh, say that again. I liked it. Do that one more time.
I'm on it today.
Yeah, let's do that again.
What I use to determine if someone is trustworthy are results. Because, I mean, you spoke on it earlier. In order to see if someone is trustworthy, you have to give them something, right? You have to rely on them on some level. You have to, believe in their ability on some level in order to determine if they're trustworthy, right? So results are what determines if someone is trustworthy. The reliability, the all of that stuff, those are just the metrics by which you determine how high they score.
You a teacher or you? That makes sense though. That makes sense.
But you still use those metrics.
Yeah, that makes sense.
To get the results that you need.
Right, but I'm saying it's the results.
Yeah, it's the result that you're gonna have to read.
Yeah,
you got to read the results to see.
So I'm saying people have to be given trust off the rip.
Yeah, you
can't just they just not be trustworthy and then they just become trustworthy all of a sudden. You have to be given trust on some level off the rip. Yeah. But it is on that person to either keep the trust or lose the trust. So they're already given trust. Yeah. It's on them to keep it. And you're just using the other stuff as metrics to determine if they score high enough to keep the trust or if they low enough to lose it.
Yeah, that's spot on.
That's a good answer.
Joanne said, Adrian, that is so true. It is definitely a difference. She also said results. How awesome.
Yeah, that's you just square E equals MC. So y'all caught that. That's crazy. Okay. I thought we've been out of school too long. We got
No.
You really put a square on that thing.
Trinity said, that's why I am glad to have you both as my brothers as well. I know I can trust you both with my personal issues. Y'all have always given your time to help me, and I am thankful for the both of you. Trinity, I miss you.
I know. Where you been? Where you been? She just popped up.
You were still alive?
She ain't hi guys or nothing like you. What the frick you been? What is going on? Dang.
Bruh. I mean, came out the rip. Like, out the gate.
Keyboard warrior. Like,
bruh. She said ATO, bro.
That's crazy.
Oh, my goodness.
So ain't nobody got me. Why is all my friends taking ATO?
It don't make no sense.
I'm failing as a friend. Yeah. God dang.
She said, "Hi, even y'all show I'm on ATO, bro." Yeah, cause you worked till like 7 or 8 or something like that.
Crazy.
Steve said, "Don't judge a book by the way you perceive the cover." Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah. Now my next question is: so, if you have something that you consider to be sacred, and you determine that you can't trust everybody with it, is it, or trust any particular person with that information? Or with that of which you deem sacred, is it more of a reflection of the person that you've deemed untrustworthy, or is it a reflection on you and the information that you deem too sacred to share? I'm gonna let that breathe for a second. I'll ask that again. If you have something that you deem too sacred to share with any given person, is it more of a reflection of the untrustworthiness of that person, or is it a reflection on you and the information that you deem too sacred to share?
I would say it's 50-50. And the reason that I would say it's 50-50 is because if that particular piece of information is something that I have not settled within myself, I got you, G.
That's why you my guy.
I got you.
That's why you my guy.
It's something about accountability that just sits well with me. Like if you start with accountability, everything else works out. Mm-hmm. So if it's a piece of information that I have not particularly dealt with within myself in its totality, then I'm not even finna gauge the other person. They ain't got nothing to do with them. This ain't got nothing to do with them. Solve it within yourself first, and then I can be like, okay, cool. Now that I accepted the fact that I popped the nigga last week and he in my freezer, I've swallowed it. I prayed about it. Me and the Lord had a good conversation. I might still get to heaven. Hey, Aaron. I got you. Hey, let me tell you what I did. But if you haven't settled with that within yourself first, don't call nobody.
You ain't think about sharing this with nobody.
Don't be trying to act like, oh, I can't trust them. You can't trust you.
Yes.
You the problem.
Beautiful.
You the problem.
Beautiful.
You definitely the problem.
What about you, Jeff?
I'm gonna have to ride with you on that one.
Yep. That's exactly where I was going.
That's a beautiful depiction of putting those words together to make, because that's exactly what it is. Like I don't, and then on top of that, because I haven't dealt with it, I don't know how to form it in words to tell a whole other individual.
But it makes it like it's your fault.
Right.
Oh, I got to hold it because I'm trusting nobody. You ain't dealt with that.
That part, and it ain't even because I knew I wasn't gonna give it to you anyway.
But
But at this point,
you know you up in the past.
I'm not. I'm just not gonna do that. No, I'm not even gonna hurt your feelings on mine. I'm just not gonna tell you.
Trinity said, for me personally, it's both. Newbie said both because we all got skeletons. Boo Rat said on me. That's Whitney. Trinity said, I had once trusted someone or more about a personal issue, and when the situation went south, the information was then repeated by a different soul. Gave me the idea it's the last of me to tell you anything about. Newbie also said, call Newbie to transport the body. Oh yeah, because he do drive trucks.
You do.
So yeah, no, you hit it on. That's exactly the rabbit hole that we was about to go down. It's people's inability to deal with the sensitive information, and because they have not yet dealt with it themselves, they don't feel confident enough to share it with other people, not knowing whether or not that information might be used against them in any way, shape, form, or fashion, right? But it's like what we have to consider is whether you keep the information to yourself or whether other people know about it, that information is still true. Like that information still remains true about you to this day. So just because someone else now has the information and they decide to do whatever they want with it, that doesn't make the information about you any less true. It's still the same truth, whether I kept it to myself or someone else knows about it, right? So it's like the only way we would have an issue with anybody knowing about it is if we feel embarrassed ourselves about the information. So we need to learn how to start dealing with the information ourselves first, coming to terms with whatever it is about us, and then only then we would be able to just be okay with sharing that with other people, because there's nothing they can do or say that's going to change the facts about you that you're sharing.
Bars. And that speaks to a lot of things that I hear people talk about. Oh, you so open. Because I've dealt with this stuff already. Like, me telling you such about me, it don't make me no different because I know that this is already a true statement. The only reason that you would not be that open is because you feel like somebody might say that to you. I said it to me first.
Yeah, or share that with somebody else you didn't want to know the information.
I already said that about
but
me.
The information is still true.
It's already true. Yeah.
Still true.
Which speaks to the biblical principle: the truth will set you free. It sets you free to trust and be true with anybody, with anything. And it's not to say go out and just tell your business to everybody. They still got a part to play, but settle yours first, and then you can spend the other energy gauging. Ooh, let me see who I can figure out to tell this to, because it's exciting now being able to get that off your chest. But if you ain't settled with it within yourself, don't look for nobody to tell it to.
You're not gonna look.
Don't tell it to nobody.
But stop making it seem like it's on
them.
them.
Yeah, it's not on that.
It's you.
It's definitely you.
Joanne, huh?
She was like, God, I can't avoid
Can't.
No matter what we're talking about, no matter what subject, it's accountability.
Everywhere I go, it's always there.
Yeah.
Joanne said, if it's sacred, it will be between me and God. LOL. Trinity said,
people like, I'm taking that to the grave.
Yeah, nah, bro.
You want to deal with it, cool.
Only God would know.
Yep.
Trinity said, okie dokie, see you all later. Love you both. Love you, Jazzy.
Love you.
And yeah, that was it. That was the last one.
Yeah, that was beautiful. This was definitely a much needed conversation.
Told you to trust me.
Yeah. That's crazy. And you looped it. That's crazy.
How you loop it back around, son? Trust me.
That was a double entendre. That was crazy.
Man, yeah, that was great. All right, so I guess it's time for In a Perfect World. So and for those of you who aren't familiar with this segment, In a Perfect World just allows us to take everything that was discussed, all the concepts that we proposed and expressed. If those concepts were put into practice, what would a perfect world look like? Jasmine, for you, what does a perfect world look like?
In a perfect world, we would do better, with rephrasing what our grandmothers and our grandparents told us about, can't trust everybody. I do believe in, like you stated, being accountable and giving to that situation until it, deems itself trustworthy for you to interact with. Like we said, we like communication. It's one of the things that we gauge with. Like, in a perfect world, we will be better with how we gauge that type of energy between strangers. Because now that I think about it, after you said it, we, like you said, we do trust everybody. But I have to give you something in order for me to know how I'm going to move forward with you, or if you're going to
know how much more I can give you.
Correct. So, in a perfect world, we would do better with how we gauge that, and just definitely when it comes to trusting, we are a little closed off. We got to do better.
So before you pass the mic, I'm enjoying the smile of expression.
Like she looks like a child learning
like
something.
It seems like a weight has been lifted.
You look so cute. Like
I was gonna let her slide, but I was like, I gotta say something. Like, what is that? Like, it seems like you have
such excitement.
Yeah,
or
like
something,
a sense of joy or
freedom.
Yeah, like what is that? Explain.
I don't know what it is. It's just, I guess, because I'm able actually to, articulate what it is that I've been doing. And that it's not always, the best thing. And I've been doing this for years. So it just feels good, like having, I guess, a conversation, understanding where it came from, how to do better with it moving forward.
Like it's making me happy. Like, is that the joy of the Lord? Like, what am I doing wrong? Like, I want some of that. It is so cute. I was like, God dang, she was like, I wish I could see her face. It was so, it was so joyful. Like man, I wouldn't hear what she was saying. Like, why are you so happy?
I wanted you to keep talking.
Yeah. That's good. That's good.
Oh man.
And that's the beauty of this. And I was thinking about this when I pulled up. I know I don't do a good job with expressing continually how grateful I am for being a part of this, right? But it's so something to be able to sit down and break down these things that most people don't talk about, and to see that.
Yeah, it makes it all worth it.
Yeah, like and it ain't even the view, like watching you do that is what fuels me to keep doing this. Because if that worked for you, I know one day, like maybe not even today, tomorrow, like it may be years.
Somebody else.
Somebody's gonna get that same thing, and it's like we did that.
Yeah.
Like we.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bro,
like I don't think you saw your face. It's like.
Right. You look like a child learning how to walk for the first time.
Or like a deaf child with a hearing aid. Like it was one of those moments where it's like, oh, this is why we do this.
Yeah.
Like
this. Like you know how wonderful it is to witness a child discovering the world for the first time and just their overall excitement for like what they are discovering they can do. Like that's how you look.
Yo, it was so
it was like so pure or something like that. You're not understanding what you did here, bro.
I thought I was tripping until I looked at you and you had that same glisten in your eye. I was like, okay, I gotta say something about them. Don't pass me that mic back yet. Just hold on. I have to get there. Like it was so like you fully enveloped yourself in the belief that what we just did can definitely change the world, and it's like that's why we meet here on Thursdays. Thank you.
Joanne said, "Love you guys, great convo." Newbie said, "Next week she can be on camera then."
I really wanted. I wish we could have caught that on camera. Like that was
beautiful.
Man,
that was beautiful.
That was.
But go.
Like sometimes I lose faith in the world. Like that really just restored me. For a while now, like that really restored my inner purity about it's like this works. Yeah, it works. For me, I don't know. Yeah.
Melissa said the joy of a breakthrough. Yeah. That's what it was.
Like you really didn't even have to say nothing. Like you just could have kept smiling, and I was like, yup. Bruh. Okay. All right. In the perfect world, everyone's face would look like Jan's face.
That's it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Catch us same time, same place next week. If you haven't caught our other videos, then just go to my YouTube channel. That's Aaron Tate, AARONTATE. You should see my face. Click on it. You'll have access to all the videos we've done so far. Make sure you do subscribe to the channel. and turn on post notifications and click that bell so you can catch every time we go live. We do go live every Thursday, 7 o'clock. But right now we're going to go ahead and say goodbye to our future selves. One day we'll look back on this and wonder why we were ever like this in the first place.
And why haven't we been like this the whole time?
And why haven't we been like this the whole time? And we'll holler at you.
That was beautiful. That was, man.